But let's, of course, start with what is happening in the United States of America, where Donald Trump and his administration are already defending themselves against a mountain of lawsuits. And less than 24 hours ago, the state of California, interestingly, announced the latest one that is headed towards the American president. The largest state's governor and attorney general announced at a press conference that California will be filing a lawsuit challenging Donald Trump's decision to impose sweeping retaliatory tariffs. Now, led by the Democrats, the top officials of California have accused Trump's move of being unlawful and also have alleged that the president is actually trying to create fake national emergencies.
Bottom line, Trump doesn't have the singular power to radically upend the country's economic landscape. That's not how our democracy works. Trump may claim these tariffs send a message to our international partners, but Americans are the ones shouldering the burden.
No state is poised to lose more than the state of California. So that's our state of mind. And that's why we're asserting ourselves on behalf of 40 million Americans. And I imagine if you caucus those 40 million Americans, you'd find few, I don't care where they were in the last election, that are celebrating this uncertainty.
Now, the American president, for his part, has justified his tariff war, saying that the country is being unjustly taxed on the goods that it imports. Now, Trump also said that increasing tariffs will bring America's manufacturing sector back to life, and he claims will facilitate more manufacturing jobs. Now, the lawsuit headed Trump's way comes as a major setback just hours after a federal judge had warned that he could hold the Trump administration in contempt of court. Now, Judge Bosberg said that the administration disregarded his order on halting a deportation flight carrying 200 immigrants last month. The judge further said that the White House could, of course, avoid a contempt charge if they provide an explanation of their actions or comply with the original order that was issued in March. Now, the White House officials say that the administration will be contesting the federal judge's decision, and they can do so by appealing to a higher court. Now, Trump's administration has in fact taken some necessary action by the 23rd of April to avoid being found guilty of contempt. Now, contempt of court refers to willful disobedience of a judgment or court order. And depending on whether the contempt is civil or criminal in nature, the guilty party can face a range of different penalties, from fines, possibly, to even imprisonment. The former top Pentagon spokesperson John Elliott will resign by the end of this week, and this is according to a report in Politico. Now, Elliott's announcement comes in a week when Pentagon placed 3 senior aides to Pete Hegseth on leave amidst a probe into leaks into the Defense Department that was launched last month. Now, Elliott claimed that his time at the Pentagon was in fact never meant to be permanent, adding that he was not interested in being number 2 to anyone in public affairs. It is unclear if Elliott's exit has anything to do with the investigation. Now, Hegseth's Chief of Staff, Joe Casper, signed a 21st of March memo requesting for an investigation into the recent unauthorized disclosures of national security information involving sensitive communication. The memo said that such information will be referred to the appropriate criminal enforcement entity for criminal prosecution. And the latest to be suspended is Colin Carroll, the Chief of Staff to the Deputy Defense Secretary Stephen Feinberg. Earlier, 2 senior aides to Hegseth, Dan Caldwell and Darren Selnick, were suspended, reportedly as part of an investigation as to who leaked the word on a planned top-secret briefing on China for Elon Musk. Now, according to reports, Trump is said to have personally intervened to stop Musk from attending the briefing. Now, the American president reportedly also ordered the staffers to make sure that he does not go when he learnt of the Tesla founder's attendance. And amidst concerns over a potential conflict of interest given the billionaire's business interests in China, the China episode has became public on the 20th of March with a report in the New York Times, which Trump called fake news on Truth Social. However, the message wasn't posted until the plan for the Pentagon briefing for Musk had been changed. The next day, that is on the 21st of March, Musk did attend a briefing at the Pentagon, but China, it is claimed, was not discussed. Later, Trump told the reporters that he would not want Musk to attend a briefing in which China is being discussed, while also maintaining that the New York Times report was fake.
He's doing a great job. He's finding tremendous waste, fraud, and abuse. But I certainly wouldn't want, Elon has businesses in China, and he would be susceptible perhaps to that.
All right, now to give us more insights in terms of what is happening at this moment in the United States of America, we're joined on this broadcast by Mr. Richard William Painter, who's an American lawyer and also a professor at the University of Minnesota Law School. Mr. Painter, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on WION. Now, this is an interesting lawsuit that's in fact been brought by the state of Florida against the Trump administration, where they're effectively saying that Donald Trump is creating fake emergencies. Can a state in this manner take the Trump administration to court, or the tariff war that Donald Trump has unilaterally unleashed?
Well, the crux of the California suit is that a lot of imports come into California from Asia and other parts of the world, and the tariffs are having a dramatic impact on California's economy. So California, I believe, clearly has standing to bring this lawsuit. That's the question of standing. Now we would have to switch to the merits. And I think it's quite clear in the Constitution that the Congress sets the taxes. The president doesn't have the right just unilaterally to raise taxes. A left-wing president can't just raise taxes on a billionaire because he doesn't like billionaires. A conservative president can't raise the taxes on Harvard University because he doesn't like Harvard or anything else. Tariffs are taxes. Congress sets the rates for tariffs. Now, Congress has enacted some specific statutes that provide the President of the United States with authority to impose tariffs on a temporary basis in specific circumstances, national defense emergencies, where there's a situation where a specific industry is being treated unfairly, domestic industry, by foreign competition, dumping of goods into the United States. There are specific statutes that give the president authority in their own circumstances to impose tariffs unilaterally. But President Trump appears to be going well beyond what any of these statutes would allow. So he needs to go back to Congress and work with Congress to decide what the tariffs ought to be.
That's an interesting point that you've made. But according to lawyers, you're a lawyer, can the federal court in the United States of America strike down these tariffs that have been imposed by Donald Trump unilaterally?
Yes, a court can strike down an act of Congress. The Supreme Court has many times struck down an act of Congress, and a court can also strike down an executive order that violates the Constitution of the United States. And an order of the United States Supreme Court must be obeyed. That is very clear. There are extreme left-wing law professors who argued just a year and a half ago that President Biden could ignore a Supreme Court order. President Biden never, ever even considered doing that. And now we have extreme right people saying that Donald Trump could ignore an order of the U.S. Supreme Court. It is very, very clear. No president of the United States can ignore, refuse to obey an order of the United States Supreme Court. So when this case reaches the Supreme Court, they will make a decision, and that decision must be obeyed.
Interesting. Thank you very much indeed, sir, for joining us and getting us all those insights there.
Thank you very much.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.